Right, you lot, let's talk Villa. So, as I'm sure all of you are aware, because you all follow Villa just like me, our transfer news this January has been literally drier than Jordan Bowery's footballing ability. And if you're a Villa fan, you'll know what I mean. We had to watch that guy play up front against Man City. It weren't pretty. But that means that we don't really have much transfer news to bring to you. There was a slight link to Spinazzola, I think his name is. Probably butchered the pronunciation of that. But that's been shot down by Fabrizio Romano already. But I did see an article, or some articles that came out on Twitter, and some rumours that came out on Twitter that were quite interesting to me. So I thought, you know what, let's just do a video on it, just to get some content out to you guys. And it is an interesting topic to talk about, because there are some great players in the place that you've already seen in the title, which is the Saudi Arabia League. Obviously, a lot of players went there for big money, and a lot of players pretty much are already sick of it. This was pretty much led by all the stuff that came out about Jordan Henderson, who went to play under Steven Gerrard 6 months ago, and much like many Aston Villa fans, after 6 months he has completely had enough of playing under Gerrard, so he wants to come back. There's also been talk about Firmino and players like that who went in the summer that already want to leave. Down to a couple of things. I think unless your name's Cristiano Ronaldo, the average attendance for a Saudi Arabia League game over there is like less than 1,000. Obviously the culture over there is a lot different in regards to laws around women, etc., being out in public. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but obviously that is a culture shock to a lot of these players who are married. And then I think it's just like the country as a whole, the heat, where the country's at in stage of its development. Effectively, a lot of the players that went to Saudi Arabia are now wanting to leave as quickly as possible. Whether the clubs would sell them for cut price deals, I do not know. But I thought it might be interesting to look at my top 5 players that Villa might be able to poach from that league in the summer. It's a bit of a speculative video. I'm not saying that we will sign any of these players. I'm just looking at who I think would fit Villa the best. And I want your guys' opinions down in the comments below. Let's get into it. So the screen recording of the Twitter/X has officially started. You notice what we do at the start of all of our videos. I'm going to scroll through some of the fire tweets that I do. We're at 77 followers, come on, 13 more. I know you guys can do it. But let's scroll through and we will find, here it is, the tweet of today's video poll, which is, so there's a rumoured mass exodus of players from the Saudi League in the summer. Aston Villa fan, vote below for my next video. Would you take any players from the Saudi League? And if you know who, reply it. No one knew who. What's that all about? Come on, tell me who you'd want. But we did get 72 votes on this poll, our most voted for poll, I think, on the channel so far. So thank you anyone, if you are watching this video, who did vote. And it was an outstanding no rather than yes. 65% said no, 35% said yes, which is interesting, which means that you guys actually wouldn't really fancy anyone from the Saudi League. But for argument's sake and for devil's advocate's sake, let's look at who my top 5 would be if we were going to sign someone from this rumoured mass exodus from the Saudi League in the summer. So first we need to look at, I think, the top 5 transfer values of players currently playing in the Saudi League. Just to let you guys know that I haven't just picked the top 5. I did actually look a little bit deeper than just who's the most expensive player in the Saudi League, and with good reason. Coming in at number 1 is Neymar, who currently has a market value, according to Transfermarkt, at 45 million. A player that's injured all the time, so I don't think that's probably a true reflection. And I think he's currently injured with like an ACL or some kind of cruciate ligament injury in his knee and is out partying on a yacht. So that tells you everything you need to know about his footballing career. Number 2 is Ruben Neves, went from Wolves in the summer for 40, his market value now is 40 million. Third is Fabinho, who went from Liverpool for 35 million, current transfer market value. Milenovic Savic for 35 million as well. And then Malcolm, who is a winger, Brazilian winger, who is worth 30 million. So that's the top 5 current highest transfer value or market values in the Saudi Arabia League. But who are my top 5 that could, I'm not saying I want them, but could fit Aston Villa if we went for them this summer? So first up, as you can see on the screen, we have Moussa Dembele, and not of Tottenham fame, but of Celtic and Lyon fame. So there's no secret, you know, there's some transfer stuff going on around John Duran at the moment, possibly not going to be at the club going forward in terms of the summer, especially due to issues around him, Emery, and his sort of attitude around football. There's obviously the AC Milan links. And I don't think it's been any secret really that we need a backup striker to push Ollie Watkins as well. So this is where Moussa Dembele comes into play. He is 27 years of age. Obviously previously has played for Celtic, Lyon amongst others. And this season he plays for El Attifaq, which is Steven Gerrard's team, funnily enough. So he's definitely going to be sick of it over there. They haven't won a game in like 2 months. But despite that, he has got 7 goals and 1 assist in 11 games, which under Steven Gerrard is nothing short of a miracle. So God knows what he is doing over there. Obviously a striker. Current transfer market value of 12 million. So it wouldn't be like an expensive striker to buy. We'd probably be able to get him on the cheap if he's one of those players that wants to leave. He's contracted until 2025 on £67,000 a week. Obviously we'd try and undercut that. I think everyone that went to Saudi must know that they're going to have to be taking a pay cut to come back. An interesting stat about him is that he has played 28 games in the Champions League, and in those 28 games scored 7 goals. I believe his first ever season in the Champions League was with Celtic, and he scored 3 and 6, which for Celtic, who historically don't do well in that competition, is actually quite the achievement. But as a backup striker behind Ollie Watkins in the pecking order, could he be a cheaper option? Perhaps we might have to pay, and a good backup, clinical in front of goal, and is able to get an assist as well. Next up, we have a tie for 4th. That's right, you're getting 2 for the price of 1. And again, it is no secret that Aston Villa need a backup goalkeeper to Emi Martinez. If Emi got injured, we have to call on either Philip Marshall, who is like literally 18 or 19 years of age, and Robin Olsen, who is a goalkeeper? ? So we need a backup goalkeeper, especially if we're going to make pushes in multiple competitions next year, and possibly the mass exodus from Saudi Arabia might give us an opportunity to snatch a pretty world-class goalkeeper on the cheap. Obviously, if they would be happy being a backup goalkeeper would be another question. The 2 goalkeepers that I had in mind are Bono, who shot to fame during the World Cup, and Edouard Mendy, previously of Chelsea fame as well. Bono is 32, Mendy is 31. Bono has played 17 games, getting 12 clean sheets in the Saudi League this year, and Mendy has played 19 games, keeping 9 clean sheets as well. They're both valued at around £10 million at the moment market value. Obviously we'd try and undercut that more than likely for a backup goalkeeper. They're both contracted to till 2026, and this is where you are going to realise that the Saudi League, the money in the Saudi League is absolutely mental. Like absolutely insane. I can't believe I'm about to tell you this. Bono's on 180 grand a week, and Mendy is on 200 grand a week. Clearly, if they wanted to leave really bad, we'd have to give them massive pay cuts to come and be a backup goalkeeper. But it's always interesting to have these conversations and what backup goalkeepers they would be, because they're both fantastic goalkeepers. Coming in at number 3, we have an interesting one. I think when most people think about the Saudi League, they think of old players going there to cash in on their retirement funds and pretty much set themselves up for life. But we have a 21-year-old in Gabri Viega, who I think when he moved in the summer got a lot of stick from Tony Kroos, who pretty much called him a baby, like Roy Keane, on Sky Sports that one time, and said that he just went for the money and he doesn't care about football effectively, which I think he clapped back at to Kroos, but you'd have to fact check me on that one. I'm pretty sure I read that when I was doing research for this video. But again, he is 21 years old, 15 games, 4 goals and 3 assists. He came off of a good season in La Liga the season before, which is why people were surprised that he went to the Saudi League, because I think Arsenal, Liverpool and Napoli, I think, were the Italian team who were interested in him in the summer. He did have a €40 million release clause in his contract at his previous club, and the team that he plays for now in Saudi Arabia just paid it. So, and they paid it, and they offered him, as you will see, £230,000 a week. So as a 21-year-old, you maybe your football's going to be affected, but your release clause has been triggered, your club's accepted the bid, and you're getting paid 230 grand a week. But again, I think he is one of those ones that rumours are coming out of that he might leave that league sooner rather than later. Decent stats this season. He is an attacking midfielder, so would fit in that John McGinn or Bailey role for Aston Villa. He is contracted until 2026 with his current market value at 30 million. So this one would be someone would be bringing in to be a starter, I believe, probably over one of those players on the wing. So he'd have to be pretty special. Obviously, it would be Emery likes Spanish players. Clearly, you look at Pau Torres that he's brought in. He would be a future star, not one that we're signing, for the bench or anything like that. I don't think. But an interesting link, and interesting that a young up-and-coming talent like that went to Saudi Arabia, and if he is going to leave, if he kicks up a fuss and that, maybe we could just swoop in and get ourselves one of the future stars of world football. Who knows? Next up, we have a player that we all know oh too well, and that is Mitrovic. We all know him from Fulham. Absolute disgusting striker, nasty striker, but he's also pretty good, isn't he? We have to admit it. He went in the summer, and there's been a lot of talk. He's been sort of having a go at Fulham and Newcastle. I think he said when he went to the Saudi League, I've finally joined a big club, which is an outrageous statement to make when you used to play for Fulham and Newcastle, and now you've gone to Saudi Arabia. So there is a bit of tension there, possibly. But would that mean that he wants to come back and maybe have a go at those two for a different team in the Premier League? A big club like Aston Villa, I don't know. Again, would he be pushing Watkins? Would he be our second split striker with Watkins? Would he be happy to sit on the bench? Probably not. He is 20, I think he's 29 now, 28, 29 years of age. This season in that league, he has 17 games, 17 goals and 4 assists. He was obviously the Nations League international top goal scorer. I can't say I follow international football too much. Obviously a striker, currently valued at 28 million. Let's be honest, he is an absolute bagsman. He is a proper striker. He gets goals, he's rough, he's great in the air, which, considering how many crosses we like to put in, would be fantastic for us. And I think anyone on a good deal would probably take Mitrovic at Villa to be Watkins number 2, or to, at least to have those two as your strikers. Imagine your strike force is Watkins and Mitrovic. That's going to get you goals. Here's my issue. All of the research that I've done into Mitrovic claims that he is on 400, but even more than that, £450,000 a week. There's just no way he's leaving, is there? So coming in at my number 1 spot, a player who, if I had a dream, perhaps would come to Villa in the summer from the Saudi League, and that is Milinkovic-Savic, the centre mid extraordinaire. He was a fantastic player in Serie A, and he has continued that rich vein of form going in to the Saudi Arabia League. Is he one that wants to leave? I don't know, but let's have a look at him in a little bit more detail. Obviously, he plays centre mid, but can play in a defensive midfield role and an attacking midfield role, as his stats will show you. He's played 16 games this season, scoring 8 goals and getting 4 assists, which for a centre mid is incredible returns for his team. He's 28 years of age, so he is in his prime right now, and he's currently valued at 35 million. But obviously, if there's this exodus, let's look at when this happened in China. They were offering players big contracts, and they all went on the cheap afterwards because they were like, oh, we can't actually afford this and no one wants to be here and we're not making any money. Obviously, it's a bit different when all your money is coming from oil that you're digging from the ground and not actually revenue from the clubs, etc. But alas, perhaps there's cut price deals there to be had if these players were unhappy. The only reason I say him at number 1 is there's all of this talk about Douglas Luiz leaving in the summer. That seems to be the biggie, doesn't it? There's no real other players in our team that seem to be being touted for big moves elsewhere. I know there's some rumours about Concert, but they can literally stay away from Ezri Concert. You don't want to do that. He's going to be a Villa legend, I'm sure of it. But the big one seems to be Douglas Luiz. There's Barcelona sniffing around, Arsenal sniffing around, and if you're going to lose a player like Douglas Luiz, you have to replace him with someone as equally big of a player in terms of what he brings to the club. And I think Savic could be that player. The only downfall again is that he's on 450 grand a week. Where are they getting this money from? You know what I mean? 450 grand a week he is on, so he'd have to take a big cut price deal, because obviously we're not giving anyone anywhere near that money. But as a Luiz replacement, if Luiz were to go, what a player. And there you have it, guys. That is my top 5 players from the Saudi League that we could take if there is a max exodus this summer. Obviously, just a bit of fun this video, just speculation, just trying to look at who would fit in the Villa team, and I'd love to know your guys' opinions down below. So obviously comment, leave a like on this video if you did enjoy, subscribe with notifications on for regular content about Aston Villa. Obviously follow the Twitter and X if you want regular updates about what videos I'm filming, and to be involved in the polls, reply to the polls as well, because I'll scroll through them in every video. You've seen it in every video I've done so far, and as always, let's just all be nice to everyone.